Okay, so the question said, I've given you a formula for Sn. So with this formula, you can find the sum of 10 terms, the sum of 70 terms, the sum of how many ever terms. It's a formula. So if the question asks you to find S23, easiest question, 2 marks, you substitute the n with 23, and there as well with 23, and your answer is 426. Then to find term number 23, what do we do with term number 23? So to find term number 23, what do we need to do? We need to know that it is sum of 23 minus the sum of, it must make sense, guys. Everything that cumulated to get to sum of 22 and then accumulate up to 23, the difference would be the 23rd term. Does it make sense now? Right. So I already know S23, so that's no problem. It's going to be 1,426. But to find the sum of 22, did you do it the exact same way that I did it? I'm sure you didn't. You went and you did your S22 on its own. And for the S22, it would be then 22 over 2 times with 5 times 22 plus 9. That will give me an answer of what? 1309. Which I subtract then from 1426 and gives me 117. Guys, just to show you, you don't have to always exactly write it as I do. You're not a parrot. So this is the PC you could have done on its own. And then afterwards you say, but then term 23 is this one, and you subtract it from each other. So there's not ever just one way of writing something. Okay, number 3. Again, exactly the same thing. I'm giving you Sn, and I'm asking, oh no, I'm not asking. I'm asking you for how many terms will the sum be equal to 425? What must you do? Equate the formula. So that n over 2, 7n plus 15 must be equated to 425. You're getting clever with this stuff. What am I solving? N. How many ways? Lots of ways, right. If I wanted to do my own way, normally what man does is times with 2. So you get? Then we time it in, 7n squared plus 15n. Can I not divide by that n? I'm not supposed to ever divide by a variable. Do I though know that this is not 0? Do I know that that n is not 0?
No.
Yes, n cannot be 0 because then what am I doing? It's finding the sum of nothing. So you could have divided by it, but normally just stick to the principles, don't do it, and then you'll get the right answer anyway. So minus 850. Now here comes the part where you use your fancy calculator and you get your full marks. You first have to divide by. Can you? Okay. If there was a 5 maybe here, then I could have divided by the 5. So fill into your calculator any equations, mode equations. Number 3, which is the quadratic one, your A value 7, your B value 15, your C value negative 850. And what are your answers? It says x1, that means n is 10. And then it says x2 is
negative 85 over 7.
Okay, so now let's crook it right. What should the brackets have been?
N minus
10 minus 10
and
7n plus 85. Otherwise we cannot crook it. Okay? Then you would also see, now I never divided by anything because the 7 is still there. Say for instance it was a 5 and now your answer was just n squared, you know that you should have first shown me how you divided by that. If you go on your calculator though, and your calculator will give you some more stuff. It didn't just give you the x1, x2, it also gave you the turning point. Turning point of a what? A quadratic function, which is a parabola. So just know what you're busy with and what it all has for you to offer. Alright, so answer finished? No, not quite. I'm happy if you just said not equal, or invalid, or not a solution, or this one the only solution. So it means that the sum of 10 terms would have given me 425. But that's 100% if you just say it isn't. But if you don't say not equal, you're telling me you didn't check. And that's the last mark that you're going to get. Question just now asks for T6. So they're not leading you like they did here. This one they led you by saying first go get S23. They could have even said get S22. Then said find term number 23. Now they tell you nothing. So you should know that you must do what? Sum of 6 minus the sum of 5. Now we haven't worked it out, so we'll have to go and do that, both of them. So for the sum of 6, I go back to the formula and it's going to be 6 over 2, 7 times 6 plus 15, like that. For the sum of 5, I'll say 5 over 2 and 7 times 5 plus 15. And now, I would rather not you just give me the answer. If you just give me the answer, are you correct? Yep, if it's right, it's right. But maybe rather give me the red answer and give me the black answer. First, 3. 117. Just 117?
171.
And the other one?
125.
And the difference is?
46.
Which means that the sixth term would be 46. Not forgetting, we didn't do it. Can you get this series? Let's do it for a last time before we start our revision exercise. What would the series look like? To find the series. Nobody asked me for that. I'm not going to do that. If you did it, you could have gotten marks. How would I get the series? Where is term number 1? The sum of 1 is the first term. Because the only term that you're adding together is the first term. So if the first term is 5, what's the sum of 1 term? Are you with me? What is it then if I substitute with 1? Because it's not so easy like the previous one. Is it 11? Thank you. I'll have to believe you. Help me please guys with your calculators. Then for term number 2, you'll have to say S2 minus S1. And what was S2? How would you get S2? Substituting there with a 2. How many? 21 minus 11. And that will give me? Okay, so we've got 2 terms so far. Series, so the term 1 is 11, term 2 is 18. Do I know that for sure that this is an arithmetic sequence? Kind of like feels like if I look at the linearness of the equation, but you can't be sure. Rather show me the third one as well. So for term number 3, we're going to need sum of 3 minus the sum of 2, which I know sum of 2 is 29. So the sum of 3 is how much?
54.
Thank you. It's so wonderful if you can do it for me. 25. Was my assumption correct that this was linear? What's the difference? 7? Okay, but you cannot just accept it. You have to at least know twice it was 7. Can you now get D and A and get whatever else they're asking you? What did they ask me here for term number 6? How could I get term number 6? A
N minus 1.
Right? Substitute the A, substitute the D. What do you guess the answer is going to be?
6.
Has to be. Nothing wrong with that, but it's way too much, I think. Then rather just doing S6, S5, difference is term 6. But there's nothing wrong with this. I cannot mark it wrong. But you may be, for all of this working out, you may be going to get 4 marks, 3 marks, because it's a principle. Right.